Madam Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters. Before I begin, I want to start off with one of my favorite jokes from Jerry Seinfeld. According to most studies, people's number one fear is public speaking. Number two is death. Death is number two. Does that sound right? This means that the average person, if you go to a funeral, you are better off in the casket than giving the eulogy. Thankfully, we are not at a funeral today, and I do not have a casket to crawl into. Otherwise, this would be a very boring speech. Today, I have the pleasure of talking about the anxiety we get from public speaking. How many of you can relate to this photo here? You get anxiety both from beginner speakers and experienced speakers. The nerves don't necessarily go away. The difference with the experienced speakers is how they manage it. Has anybody recently seen the whole speech from Jennifer Lopez where she broke down crying and she said, "I should have spent more time on my speech. I've been so busy." This is literally a professional who revealed two things. You should practice with your speech, but even the experienced speakers have those breakdowns. So let's unpack that anxiety. According to National Social Anxiety Center, public speaking anxiety, also known as glossophobia, affects 40% of the population. The underlying fear is judgment or negative evaluation by others. It's these high stakes speaking situations. We're giving feedback. We're speaking up in a meeting. We're presenting our ideas. We're sharing stories that we want people to get a message from. Well, if there's one thing that you get today, I hope it's that you get, don't give up. We must manage this anxiety so that it doesn't manage us. I'm going to give you two categories. Well, let's talk about the different sources of anxiety. You have your new and unknown situations. You can do some homework, figure out how you can better feel in those situations. You have that risk of failure. You don't want to not get your message across. At the same time, you don't want to appear foolish. We were meant to understand that we have this status level with other people. So when we speak, we don't want to bring ourselves down, but we also don't want to bore our audience. We want to keep them engaged. And if we're behind this anxiety, we can't get past that. So there are two categories of tips that I'm going to go through. One is mindset, and the other is your behavior. How can we manage our mindset? Well, if you're afraid you're going to forget something, one thing we learn in Toastmasters is tell them what you're going to tell them, and then tell them again. Have your intro, your body, your conclusion. Make that mental map so that you know where you want to take the audience. And if you have to take a couple detours along the way, it's fine as long as you get to where you want to go. Practice like crazy. Now, this could be for a particular speech or story. How many times have you had that one funny story, like my husband blowing up our generator last year? I've told it dozens of times. Did I tell it the exact same way each time? No, but I still get the point across. And depending on the context, I have different morals to that story. But the more you put yourself out there in front of people, the easier it is to do. So not just that specific story, but start small. Think about taking roles in the Toastmaster meeting. Maybe speaking up once or twice in a meeting. Say hello, say goodbye. That's an easy 2 times to get in. And then start volunteering. When people say, anybody want to take that on? Do it. Jump in. Next, perform. Think of all the athletes, the actors. Perform, but be humble. You want to mentally rehearse and visualize how things are going to go. I used to run half marathons because I wasn't crazy enough to do the full marathon, but I would think that, okay, one more mile, I'd get across. And at the end, you have that runner's high. There's kind of the same thing you get when you're speaking. You're like leading up to it. And when you get there, you're like, wow, I did it. This is what you need to do is visualize it and get that positive reinforcement before you start. So let's talk about the behaviors that you can do. In poker, there's a thing called a tell. It's an action that gives away the strength of the player's hand. Well, when you're speaking, you want that strength. You want that confidence. What are your tells? Do you maybe get butterflies in the middle of your stomach? Make sure you don't eat a big meal before you give a speech. Maybe you get shakes and you know that your little hand gestures might be noticeable. So make bigger gestures so that's not noticeable. For me in particular, I know that I need to lay off the caffeine on the days that I'm going to give a speech because I will speed through everything that I'm talking through. So that is one of the things that I work on. But a great thing to do is redirect the audience attention. Are you afraid of being in that spotlight? The great thing to do is engage the audience, ask them questions, do polls, have them be part of the conversation so that you're not the only one driving the speech. And lastly, what I like is be here now. This means to focus on your present moment, that mindfulness, letting go of the past or the future. When you're about to speak, you're like, oh no, I'm going to freak out. I'm going to mess this up. And you don't hear the introductions before you. And maybe after your speech, you're still running through, what did I do wrong? What could I have done better? And you miss the speeches after you. Live in the moment. And are you getting the message across? But a great way to anchor yourself in the present moment is to focus on your breathing. So what are some of the ways that we want to focus on our breathing? Before you speak, you want to practice breathing to calm the mind and relax the body. This activates the parasympathetic nervous system, really long word, but essentially that's the body's responsibility to relax after exposure to stress or danger. It counteracts your flight or fight response that triggers or is triggered by stress. So what I like is the physiological sigh. I want you all to do it with me. Here's what we do. You inhale, pause for a second, and then inhale again before you release. So let's try that. That extra deep breathing is what calms you down. And for me, this is one of my go-tos. Before any presentation that I go to, I have no idea what I'm talking about. I'm going to take a deep breath and then I can calm myself and concentrate. What did other people do? All I need to do is mirror what they do. These people take 10 minutes, I take 2 minutes. I'm a very direct communicator, but I'll tell you something about that breathing really helps me. So taking that extra 15 seconds to breathe works. While you're speaking, think about your pauses. So while you're delivering your speech, where can you stop to take that breath? Have you ever sang a song where you ran out of breath and you couldn't finish the line? Think about the same when you're speaking. Where do you want to make sure that you don't run out of breath because you're running after what you're saying? And lastly, when you're done and you want to relieve that stress again, they have this controlled diaphragm, I don't know, whatever, belly breathing. So do belly breathing. If you can feel it coming up from your belly into your chest, that again is going to relax you and calm your nerves from your speech. So let's circle back to that Seinfeld joke. Most people would rather be in the casket than giving the eulogy. Today, I hope you learned that anxiety doesn't have to bury you. Public speaking is common, or fear of public speaking is common, but it's not permanent. When you can change your mindset and your behavior, you can take control. The goal isn't to eliminate the anxiety, it's to keep it from managing you. Start small, keep showing up, and before long, you'll find yourself not just surviving your speech, but owning the stage. And when all else fails, just breathe.